The Virginia Military Institute, located in the small town of Lexington, Virginia, is considered by many to be one of the finest academic institutions in the country, and is known for its strict Spartan lifestyle that all cadets live. Any given cadet here at VMI will tell you that there is no such thing as an easy day. Each day usually starts early in the morning and contains a variety of academic and militaristic duties for each cadet within the Corps. These activities include accountability formations, classes, inspections, practice parades, physical training, guest speakers, and many more. During the RAT line, the freshman year at VMI, all members of the Corps are taught the importance of teamwork and cohesion. From the outside looking in, it appears to many that the cadets here share a bond that is unbreakable. Unknowingly to some, this cohesion can be deceiving. It is during this time of the year when conflict between cadets who participate in an NCAA team and those who do not begins to arise. During Hell Week, the intense week of training that rats endure upon arrival, some NCAA athletes are exempt from certain events so that they may participate in their team's respective practices and workouts. This causes some resentment from those who do not participate in NCAA athletics. While those NCAA athletes are practicing, the non-athletes spend time with cadre and participate in militaristic training. As rats, NCAA athletes not only miss training time during Hell Week, but are also exempt from doing other rat events such as PT sessions and long rep marches, while also missing training time throughout the duration of the rat line. One cadet who shares his resentment towards NCAA athletes is third-class cadet Jacob Hertz. As a former NCAA athlete himself, Hertz has his views on the differences of being a cadet athlete and being a non-athlete.
So what are your thoughts about cadet athletes?
Oh, you mean permanents?
Yes.
Is that what you mean? See, I feel strongly about this. I had 3 uncles that went here back in the day when permits were, a good thing. It was all part of the Corps.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seemed like a complete divergence from that. And now that they kind of isolate themselves amongst their own, they're not really Corps participants. Somewhat, some are special cases, but most of the time they just cut themselves off, do their own thing. They look like.
So you're saying they separate themselves from the rest of the cadets here at VMI?
Yes, kind of like a little isolated.
Really?
Football players room with football players.
Okay.
Baseball players room with baseball players.
So what are your thoughts about PT study hall?
Well, see, Joe, I could go all day about what I think about PT study hall. I think that, to a point, it's a necessary evil, but it ain't like us NARPs don't have studying to do too. I have been out there pounding those bricks for Jackson for 83 hours of my cadetship.
83 hours?
83, Joe. And I got another 22 coming. So that's going to be 105 hours I've spent out there marching. 105 hours I could have been studying. 105 hours I could have been doing whatever I want to do. But instead I'm forced to march those because my status doesn't dictate me being in a room studying for an hour.
Now, you being a prior athlete, explain to us, what is a PT study hall?
Well, it's actually not what you would think. When you think, if you've ever marched a PT, you've been out there and the cadet sergeant majors are around and you got TACs walking around, kind of like looking, and they'll pull your PT credit just like that.
And you're marching?
Yeah, while you're marching. No matter if you march 55 minutes, if the PT goes that long, they can still pull your credit.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't matter. While I was in PT study hall, it was so hard to get things done.
Okay. And so while you're out marching, you have thoughts about these guys goofing off, joking around in their PTs while you're out there struggling.
while I'm out there showing off the good discipline.
Okay. So there's a divide there.
On the other side of the divide, second class cadet Joel Hoisington agrees that there is some mounting tension between cadets who participate in NCAA sports and cadets who do not. Hoisington is a member of the track and field team, where he participates in throwing events. Hoisington says he understands the reasons behind the conflicts, but would also like to see something done around posts that would help resolve them.
Definitely, I have seen quite a divide between athletes and non-athletes here. I've heard all sorts of things like, oh, athletes don't have to do this because of whatever reason, or they get out of so much things, they don't have to do anything. That cannot be farther from the truth. Personally, I think NCAA athletes, especially here at VMI, are more time committed than just a regular athlete, say at a school like UVA, considering that we have the military aspect as well as the athletic and academic stuff to go along with it.
So where do you think this divide comes from?
I think it really starts during the rat line. There are certain NCAA athletes that we're not always at rat training. We're at practice, or we're working out, or we're at team meetings while everyone else is doing the rat line stuff.
Does it get any better after the rat line?
My rat year, when I would come back from practice to my room, what would my roommates be doing? They were sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Not doing homework, not studying, not doing anything else, sleeping.
Do you think some athletes get the rest of them a bad name?
Oh yeah, definitely. But at the same time, there are a bunch of cadets that aren't athletes that give the rest of the non-athletes a bad name. Like having you say that, oh, that one athlete is so terrible because he doesn't wear a proper uniform, has a terrible attitude, and might not be the most motivated person, when at the same time there are other non-athletes that are the exact same way.
So do you think athletes are held to a higher standard then?
I don't necessarily think they're held to a higher standard. I believe that we're held to the same standards, but sometimes I feel like those standards aren't necessarily upheld by some cadets within the Corps.
Cadet Bridget Poliot is a third-class cadet on the women's soccer team. She takes a more neutral approach to the athlete and non-athlete conflict. She understands why some non-athletes may resent athletes, but still feels that athletes are discriminated against here at VMI.
So tell me, what's it like being an athlete at VMI?
It's actually pretty interesting. It's not as glorified as some people think. We get called permits and we get ragged on about several different things, like not being able to go to certain events. And then of course, it's a hard time, like time managing, especially with games. And then it sucks because we also don't have like the whole 2-hour time on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays to like study and stuff, rather than we have practices. What else? The lack of sleep doesn't exactly help for our training load or anything. So I mean, it's like honestly really, really hard to be an athlete here.
So what do you think about PT Study Hall?
PT Study Hall is kind of, I'm on the fence about it. I know that it's great for people that are out of season or are in season because they kind of need the extra study time rather than like walking around for an hour spent on like Sundays and stuff. So it kind of helps them out academically because we don't get that. But I mean, I know a lot of people complain. They're like, well, I mean, it's a Sunday. Like, what are you doing on a Sunday? I mean, just go, it's walking around for 45 minutes. So, I mean, I can understand like how it would be fair for us to do it at the same time, but I also agree with the fact that we should have PT Study Hall because we do need the extra time. So it's time well spent.
There is no denying that there is in fact conflict between cadets who participate in NCAA sports and those who do not here at VMI. Whether they are right or wrong, both sides have compelling thoughts on the divide between the two groups of cadets. Members of both groups would like to make changes that would decrease tension in future years. Reporting live from VMI with On the Hill News, I'm Joe Boswell.